Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Unscaled Travel Show. I am so glad you're here. I'm really liking that new shirt you got. Is that a new haircut, too? Come on, you're looking fresh out there today. My name is Jeremy Long, your host, here with my co-host and co-explorer, Amy.
Hello.
We are coming to you from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. And I think we have a really fun and interesting show because today, on Unscaled Travel Show, we're heading into what I think is one of the most overlooked national parks in the United States, Capitol Reef. It's often overshadowed by places like Zion National Park and Bryce Canyon, but Capitol Reef somehow stays quieter and calmer while still offering some massive cliffs, ancient petroglyphs, scenic drives, and even orchards in the middle of the desert. Yeah, some of that. Amy and I recently explored the park ourselves, so, we're going to break down everything first-time visitors need to know, what to see, what hikes are worth it, what surprises people the most, and why so many travelers leave Capitol Reef wondering why no one told them about this park sooner, including us.
Right, yeah.
It was one full of discovery for us because Capitol Reef, I think of the Mighty Five national parks in Utah. That's what they call their group of national parks. It's often, I believe, the one that is most overlooked.
I agree.
Even though it's not quite at the bottom of annual visitors, that would be Canyonlands as far as annual visitors. It's still just where it's placed. It's really overshadowed by Bryce Canyon and Zion National Park.
Right. I agree. I think, for us, the reason we actually made it there was because we were staying kind of between Bryce Canyon and Capitol Reef. And we thought, well, let's make the extra hour and a half drive over to this other national park neither one of us had ever been to. And, otherwise we probably wouldn't have gone there. I don't think we would have made a trip specifically for this park. But now that we've been, I think people should.
Yeah. Where it sits almost right in the middle between, you have Bryce Canyon and Zion that are kind of on the west side of southern Utah, and they're almost right next door to each other. And then on the east side, you have Arches and Canyonland, which literally sit next door to each other. And then you have Capitol Reef that requires a little bit more effort to get to the middle. And I think it often overlooked because where Zion has really dramatic hikes like Angel's Landing and the Narrows and these kind of places, I think Capitol Reef is kind of missing that one thing to hang your hat on as far as that you can't miss kind of hike.
Yeah.
But it's still worth taking the time to go visit because it does offer some very unique settings to go hiking in. A lot of those mirror Zion and mirror some of the things you'll find in the other Mighty Four. But you'll do it in surroundings that are calmer with less people on the trails,
right,
and kind of less of those distractions and everything else.
It did feel calmer when you say that. It didn't feel overrun with people, even though we went to the visitor center. That was probably the most maybe crowded any space in the whole park felt for me because there were quite a few people in the visitor center at the time. But the rest of the park, it is kind of things are kind of spread out. Yeah. There are, I would say, more popular points of interest, and those, again, like most national parks, had relatively small parking areas. So the parking area seemed a little bit crowded, but going out and actually seeing the different things, it wasn't like there were masses of people out there.
Yeah.
We were able to kind of maneuver around and, see different things sort of on our own. There were a couple of other areas where there were people congregated, but it wasn't like you're in just these giant crowds. I would say 30 people as opposed to hundreds of people.
Right. So like we said, the park sits south central Utah. It's along Highway 24, and it sits between two places, two small towns. One's called Hanksville. The other one is called Torrey. So you have these little small towns. You know, I love the small towns that often accompany these national parks, like Springdale and Bryce Canyon City and everything. They also can do a lot for you. But a lot of travelers accidentally kind of pass through it on their way to somewhere else before they even realize that they're in a national park or that they're getting close to one, right? So what is this park? Capitol Reef actually protects something called the Waterpocket Fold. Okay, and I'm going to get a little geology on you, right? So the Waterpocket Fold is nearly 100 miles long. It's one of North America's largest exposed monoclines. It's basically, and this is, I'm just reading this off the internet here, basically a giant wrinkle in the earth created almost 65 million years ago, so dinosaur times, by tectonic movement. They believe these tectonic movements are the same ones that created the Rocky Mountains.
Oh.
So at the same time the Rocky Mountains were being formed, this Waterpocket Fold, which makes a lot more sense. If you go to like its Wikipedia page, you'll see a picture of the Waterpocket Fold from the air, and you can get a better sense of what they're actually talking about, this wrinkle in the earth that this park basically makes everything up of. So the cliffs, the domes, canyons, and all of that come from this this massive geological uplift.
It's kind of magic.
Yeah. And the name Capitol Reef is actually taken from two different things, right? It sounds bizarre when you actually hear it, but the explanation is actually pretty simple. The early settlers there thought there are some white sandstone domes inside the park that resemble the U.S. Capitol building in Washington, D.C. So there you have the Capitol part. The reef part comes from the same settlers who saw the cliffs and the ridges around it that act like a reef that blocked travel, because when they saw impenetrable ridges back in the day, they called them reefs oftentimes.
Oh, okay.
So there you end up with a Capitol Reef, and that's kind of where the name came from. So.
Interesting. To me, it is a very interesting park, because when you drive into it, especially the part we drove into, it is these very cool red rock formations, and we stopped several times to take pictures. There's no trees, there's nothing. You are in the desert, but it is like all these massive red rocks around you. And then suddenly you get into, like, you're in the park and there's trees and deer and, like you said, orchards, and right next to it is another massive red rock towering formation. And it's just like so odd, the two juxtaposition of trees and this red. It's just, it's very, it's so hard to even explain it. Like, if you haven't seen it, you probably can't picture it.
The area itself became a national monument under Franklin D. Roosevelt in 1937, and officially it became a national park in 1971. It makes it, under Nixon, it makes it one of our youngest national parks per se when you look at the grand scope of it. So one of the coolest things about Capitol Reef is just what you were saying, the landscape changes over this relatively small area. And it's kind of wild to think that Capitol Reef is a little over 240,000 acres large, which is pretty sizable, but its more popular, counterpart, Zion, is like less than 150,000
like
acres.
Half the size.
But so it kind of reinforces what I was saying about, like, it's just missing those really dramatic moments, and especially in the age of social media, you almost kind of need that. So it's like, and I told you while we were there, it almost feels like it's stitched together from multiple parks that we visited.
Yes.
It felt a little like Zion. It felt a little like Mesa Verde, and a couple of others. And so you can go to this one park and experience dramatically different landscapes just down the road from each other. So we're going to explore it more. It's Capitol Reef National Park. Everything you need to know. Keep it right here on Unscaled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Jeremy Long here with my co-host, Amy. What are you laughing about?
Hello.
We're in Sin City, Las Vegas in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios talking about Capitol Reef National Park. Some things you need to know before you go if you've never been or if you're going back and looking for a little bit different adventure. And we've chatted already about how it's kind of flying under the radar as far as the national park. And I love to do our part to kind of shine a little bit of light on it. But the one thing about Capitol Reef, I think that stands out to me is it's also an incredibly friendly place for people who are not hardcore hikers, hardcore backpackers looking for, even though they do have some backcountry hikes and campgrounds and campsites, it's not necessarily built for those folks because there are beautiful scenic drives. There are easy, as we found out, some very easy pullouts along the highway, like Highway 24, that you can just pull right out. And there's a short little, like a trail down to the Fremont River that cuts through, and you get these beautiful scenes. And at one point we were there, me, you, and the adventure dog Chief, and we were down by the river, and you were like, "Hey, do you hear that?" And it was just birds and water. You didn't hear people. You didn't hear, and we were just right off the highway.
Right.
Which I think it's one of those places that you can, even if you don't want to hit those trails hard and heavy, you can go and have a really good time.
Yeah, like you said, they do offer, they do offer a lot of backcountry hiking. There are sections of the park that don't have any official trails, and you can do backpacking there, overnight camping, things like that. But in kind of the area of the park that's Fruita, it's a historic town that the park's kind of centered around. They have 15 different short day hike trails, and it's everything from an easy stroll along the river like you and I did to actual 10-mile strenuous hikes. So there's a little bit of something for everyone. And you and I, we weren't really prepared to go on a strenuous hike this particular day. So we were like, let's do some of the easier ones.
Let's go walk down by the river.
And we had such a nice day. I mean, walking by the river in one place, we found another place that had kind of a rock arch, and we stopped and took some pictures. We found the river at a different part of the park and pulled over again and just took more video of the water. And we came across a group of deer just like hanging out on the trail.
They were. I think we interrupted. They were having a meeting or something, maybe a poker game.
They had no use for us, but they were very curious what Chief was doing.
They were looking him up and down, man. And he couldn't care less.
No.
He didn't care about the deer at all. He was sniffing things. But so when you're going there for the first time, there are a handful of stops that really kind of define the experience for you. And we mentioned the historic area settlement of Fruita, which I think was a Mormon settlement years ago. So there are still some historic buildings around there that'll help pacify the historic nerd you might be traveling with, me, for, they have all kinds of things. They can read placards and stuff and keep them busy. But even at the visitor center was really helpful, easy to get in and out. There's a little bit of like a museum sort of gives you the explanation of a little bit of the history of the park, some of the geology that I kind of mentioned right there, and a little bit of, you can pick up some pins and things, and they're helpful rangers. But they'll also give you the latest trail updates and flash flood information, because in that area, flash floods are a real thing. So you need to be careful before you head out on the trails, and also a good selection of maps and stuff like that. So you want to go, I always try to hit the visitor center first, because they'll let you know what's available and what's not available at that time. But you mentioned Fruita. Okay. So we go there. It's a Mormon settlement, but there is a house there they called the Gifford house. The Gifford house is a part of the Fruita Mormon settler experience in some way, but now it's been kind of turned into this amazing little kitchen.
Well, because you went in the visitor center and I was outside, and you came back and you're like, apparently we have to go to the Gifford house and get like a pie or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
There was a sign on the wall inside the visitor center saying homemade pies at the Gifford house, like in season. They don't do them all year long, but there is a season, I think between March and maybe October or November, when you can go and get fresh handmade pies and other articles. So I was like, we got to head to Gifford.
Which is unusual, I would say, for an unusual offering for a national park. We've never come across this before. So automatically our interest was piqued, right?
Yeah. Why aren't more national parks offering pie?
So as soon as you pull out from the visitor center and you head to, I guess, the right, you're in this little community called Fruita, and there's multiple buildings from the settlement that are there that are museums or different places that you can go and explore. And they have a campground right there. And there was this little house right on the side of the road with some picnic tables. And we're like, oh, this must be it, right?
Yeah.
And so I went inside, and it's actually just a couple of little rooms. But the first room you go into has all kinds of like canned preserves and things like that. And then you step into the next room, and there is, and I don't know if you recall ever seeing one of these, but it was like a cupboard with glass on the front, but it was like a pie cupboard. And there are just shelves of pies. Wow. And next to it was a smaller one with cinnamon rolls.
Oh, okay.
So, and there's a line of people, and these pies are small. They're like individual size pies. And then there's an ice cream cart over to the side and a few other things. But there is a line to get
Good thing
pies.
I didn't go in there then.
Everybody's ordering multiple pies, cinnamon rolls, ice cream. So I finally got up there and got us 2 pies and a cinnamon roll.
You were so proud of it.
I was.
I didn't know what was going on. I was like, what is taking so long? And you come out just holding bags of pies, and you're like, I got us pies. And I was like, where? Where did you get pies from?
But most people are sitting right outside at the picnic table eating theirs. We decided to take ours back with us so we could enjoy it later. And I will just say, I love cinnamon rolls. They are my number one favorite thing to eat.
Sure.
This was the best cinnamon roll I have ever had. Like, hands down, no comparison. I will dream about this cinnamon roll for the rest of my life. It was the best. I can't say enough good things about it. So if you like cinnamon rolls and you're in Utah, make the trip. Because they're that good. They're that good, I promise.
You say you're going to dream about the cinnamon roll for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Okay, man. So this is now unscaled food journalism. I thought it was good. I mean, we ate it.
I loved it.
Yeah. I guess if it was fresher. But it was like the next morning. Yeah. Or something.
It was still incredible, though.
It was really good. I don't know. I don't know if I saw Jesus or anything like that. Like,
you don't love cinnamon rolls like I do.
Yeah.
I ranked them. It was number one.
But, what makes it nice and what makes it a good stop is that it is along the Fremont River, runs right by it. Like you said, there's picnic tables that people were sitting down, having lunch. Mm-hmm. And you can take your fur baby. It's one of the few places you can take your dog with you. And so it made for a nice little stop. First stop anyway. Keep it right here. It's Unscaled Travel Show.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. Check us out online, unscaledtravelshow.com. All of our past episodes, interviews, everything like that are right there. Or subscribe to us on any of the major podcasting platforms. Put all of the episodes. Spotify, Apple Podcast. Those other ones.
Yeah.
Those two mainly. I don't know. Are there other ones? I'm sure there are.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. We don't listen to other shows. I mean, we do, but we don't. So we're talking about Capitol Reef National Park, right? So I think the Visitor Center and Gifford House are, without saying, because proximity-wise, they're very close to each other. It's very easy and non-strenuous if you would just want to get out, stretch your legs, things of that nature. Staying in the car. We'll get to the hikes in a little bit. and other things. But right there is kind of the beginning of the scenic drive, or at least one of the scenic drives in the park, which you just pull out of the overflow parking and boom, you're on it. And it starts opening up. And not only do you get to see the beautiful Gifford House, like orchard grounds, which you can tell in season, and you'll see different orchards all around the park in different places around the park, mostly along the Fremont River, that you can, I think at different periods of time, for a price, you can go and pick some fruit in season, but otherwise they want you to stay out so the fruit can grow, right? But along the scenic road, the first one is, I think one of the good stops is Cassidy Arch. From the main scenic road, it turns into a little bit of a dirt road, but it's not a heavy dirt road. I saw a lot of like small cars.
Right.
Someone with a Nissan Altima was hauling down this road. So, don't feel worried. You don't need a 4x4 or anything like that. And we kind of made the trip down there. You got out at one point and started walking around, and I pulled off and parked it in a wash that wasn't a parking area, but all the parking areas are kind of just man-made.
Yeah.
And so you just kind of get out wherever and start your day.
Yeah. It's sort of, that dirt road dead ends right at the trailhead. And there's, I don't know, maybe 8 to 10 parking spots there. But then other people were just parked along the dirt road going back towards the main road. And it looked like there were a few other trails going off of the road into different sections. So we didn't have time to do the full hike, but there was a sign that said that you could view the arch a little ways back from the road. So that's when I got out looking for the arch, came across another woman who saw the sign, was also looking for the arch. And together we both decided the sign was a liar. We couldn't find the arch from that viewpoint, but we tried. So I think if you want to see Cassidy Arch, you do need to go to the trailhead and actually take the trail to the arch.
That's some great advice. If you want to see the thing that they advertise, you might want to complete the trail that it's on. That's good wisdom to know that. Well, I mean, there are a lot of things from the main roads like Highway 24. You can see the namesake domes of Capitol Reef, the Navajo Dome and Capitol Dome and all of these things. You can see those perfectly fine from the road. I think they call them the Flute Hills or Flute Mountain or something like that. You pass that coming in and out. It's one of the ones we stopped and took a picture at. Same with I think Chimney Rock or the Furnace, one of those. All of these you can kind of see. So when you're going out if you're going off of dirt roads and everything, it is kind of worth keeping in mind. Some things you might be able to just see from your car. Other things, and I don't think the Capitol Arch Trail was a strenuous hike or anything like that. We were pressed for time.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that we had planned on doing an all-day thing. And we had to keep in mind that dogs are not allowed on these trails, these unpaved trails. So we couldn't leave Chief in the car and both go do this hike and everything. And so it's just one of those things as you go out there to keep in mind.
Yeah, well, and I think that's a good point too. It's like if you're pressed for time, there are still a lot of things to do without actually going on one of these trails. There are still scenic overlooks all along both of the scenic roads. There were places to pull over along the river that you just get beautiful shots of the river kind of weaving through the rocks. A lot to do if you only have an hour or two in the park. So I think, again, go to the visitor center, grab a map, and kind of plan out what your strategy is and what you have time for. And then that way you can hit everything. Because there were quite a few things, like you said, right there off the main road that didn't require you to go on a hike, and you could pop over from one thing to another.
Yeah. And on that same trail, like the Cassidy Arch trailhead is the end of the Grand Wash Trail that kind of cuts through maybe the heart of the park, where you're going to see some really great features. Like they have their own version of the Narrows. It's not quite as dramatic as, say, the Narrows in Zion National Park. But there, and as you go through like Bear Canyon and all of this. It all comes and ends on the other side, and you get out at Highway 24. So you can either park off Highway 24 or you can hit this dirt road and go down, kind of park where the Cassidy Arch Trailhead is. But it is a popular trail. Both of these are popular trails for a reason.
Right.
Really beautiful, bright red sandstone and a mix of the white Navajo sandstone and everything else. So they're popular for a reason. You got to get there early to get a parking spot, or just be prepared to get creative, as long as you're not hurting anything out there in the environment or anything. Always obey those park rules, right?
I would also say it is the desert, and while certain parts of this park have trees and shade, almost all of the trails do not have any trees on it. So keep that in mind. You need a lot of water. You need your sunscreen. You need some form of shade, because it can get very, very hot in the summer. We were there, it was April, and it was verging on pretty hot. So middle of the summer, temperatures are going to be over 100 Fahrenheit.
You got to be smart. Don't let it deceive you, even on quote unquote cooler days, because you'll be out there panting, trying to hide under a rock like a lizard. Keep it right here, Unscaled Travel Show.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Jeremy Long here with my co-road tripper, Amy.
Hello. I like that one.
There you go. We're looking at Capitol Reef National Park. Very underrated. Very beautiful place. We were just talking about Cassidy Arch, and I didn't realize it was named after Butch Cassidy.
Oh.
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, famous outlaws.
I've heard of him, yeah.
I got some stories on Unscaled Travel Show's YouTube about Butch Cassidy and those wild and crazy kooky guys. Allegedly, this was part of the region, that their territory that they would hide out after bank robberies and stuff back in the day.
Interesting.
During their outlaw years.
Okay.
So, but it's gorgeous. So you can understand why if Butch and Sundance and Kid Curry, these guys.
Names. Yeah. I love the names.
I know. We need to bring that back, right? Just like names.
Fun
Not
nicknames.
like names. I mean, we all have names, but like real fun names.
What would yours be?
I don't know. I got one. Old Germ. What do they go? Old Germ Bocephus. There you go. But along that Cassidy Arch, we're talking about these hikes. It's kind of crazy. It goes from these really easy, modern, you walk along the Fremont and it's paved and it's nice and it's a cool day. And then you get Cassidy Arch, which is, a little bit more strenuous, but still easy for most people. And then all of a sudden you can go and end up on like the Grand Wash, which has different parts of it. I mean, it feels like a movie set. They have these huge canyon walls, but it's relatively flat walking. And, it's family friendly. So you'll see lots of parents and kids, grandparents out there. And then all of a sudden you can go to some of these other ones like the Capitol Gorge, and it feels totally different.
Right.
And it might be a little bit more strenuous to people who aren't prepared, or say, what's the nice one that people like? The wall, the Hickman.
Oh, the Hickman
The
Bridge.
Hickman Natural Bridge.
Yeah.
So the Hickman Natural Bridge is literally, they have probably the biggest parking lot in the park, because it is the most popular stop.
Yeah.
And even when we went by, we drove by it several times. It was completely filled. People were parking on the other side of the road. People were waiting for other people to come back. And it is no doubt a more strenuous hike because you have elevation gains, but it's not like you're climbing Half Dome at Yosemite or anything like that. But you need to be prepared that it is, uphill.
Yeah, it's considered a moderate level hike, and the elevation change is about 400 feet or 122 meters. So, and it's only roughly a mile. The trail is itself, but it's that incline that's going to get you. So,
because it starts from the beginning, from the beginning, you just start gaining elevation. So if you're not used to that, or if you have mobility issues, that may not be the one I would start with.
Right. They have, so I'm looking at the list of hikes in that area. Again, there's about 15. 4 of them are considered easy. And you have everything from what you said, Grand Wash, which is basically walking through canyons, to Sunset Point, which is more panorama, and you get the beautiful shots of the sunset. Another one, the Capitol Gorge, as you said, which is the deep canyon again, but also a short climb to what they call Waterpocket tanks.
Yeah.
And then you get into, there's 3 or 4 moderate hikes like Hickman Bridge and Cohab Canyon. The rest are all categorized as strenuous, either due to the length. Some of these are 5 miles one way. Old Wagon Trail Loop has an elevation change of over 1,000 feet, which is 329 meters.
Right.
That's quite a bit of uphill walking, I would say. So if you're not in shape, I would definitely steer away from doing that one and stay more in the easy to moderate.
Which is crazy. They have these more strenuous hikes, but it isn't necessarily known as a hiker's national park. And I firmly believe it has to do with those like payoffs, those, even though you have Cassidy Arch, which you get to it and you see this huge, beautiful arch. And then you have the Natural Bridge, which is another arch, right? It's a bridge. You go and stand on it. People take all the pictures and everything else, which are fun. And it's worth the trip. It's worth the exertion and everything, but it's still not this death-defying thing like an Angel's Landing where you're hanging off the side is a 300-foot drop or something like that, and you're just kind of holding on to a chain, walking on the rock or something like that, which I think, again, fairly or unfairly, that's just how people see these kind of things.
Right. Well, I think, too, because we did this and then we went to Bryce Canyon the next day, and I think there's a dramatic difference in that they both are these red sandstone formations, but Bryce Canyon, the way that they all look it's breathtaking, and Capitol Reef, it's different. It still looks like mountains and rocks jutting out. It doesn't look like you're in a different world, and I think maybe that's part of it too. It's like it could maybe be anywhere. I don't know. It doesn't have this like unique identifier that Bryce Canyon and Arches have.
I agree with you to that extent. Like I think the going in, like we came up Scenic Byway 12.
Yes. Which
is a beautiful drive, in southern Utah. Inspired one of your favorite movies in Cars. Yeah. A lot of things on that. And you pass Bryce Canyon, which is known for its dramatic hoodoos and different landscapes. And then you have this, like you just mentioned, the red Aztec sandstone that's all over the walls. And then it gets to the park and it opens up and it's kind of green and it's beautiful, but it's not something that you don't see in a lot of other places. Like, again, it is kind of this stitched together patchwork of other parks that, in a world of social media, what have you done for me lately? Unfairly, I think it kind of, it earns a reputation of, it's not anything you can't miss.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't like that. If that's how you think about Capitol Reef,
you're going to stick up for it.
Well, I might just not share my cinnamon roll with you after all. Keep it right here, Unscaled Travel Show.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. What show is that? Unscaled Travel Show. You know. You know. Come on, man. Jeremy Long here with my co-explorer, Amy.
Hello.
We're in Sin City, Las Vegas in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. We're talking about Capitol Reef National Park. Some things, some places, stuff like that you should know before you go. If you've never been. Right? Right. So it is one of these, it is a park that does have an entrance fee, although it's kind of strange. If you come from Scenic Byway 12, if you come from the town of Torrey, I did not see a fee gate.
No.
I didn't see, they didn't stop you. I mean, we had our National Park Pass. We had our America the Beautiful Pass. So I don't think no harm, no foul there. But like, there wasn't a gate stopping you to get in, and then you go to the visitor center and then Gifford House and all that other stuff. Although we did see signs that said
fee area
ahead. And we just, I guess, never reached it.
Well, we didn't. So the scenic drives aren't a loop. You kind of just drive until you drive out of the park in one direction. So we turned around and went up to the other scenic drive, which kind of goes across a different part of the park, and sort of did the same thing. So I don't know if maybe they no longer have a fee area, or if it's only coming in from the east into the park,
which is kind of strange.
Would be weird, because usually the fee area is either right before the visitor center, or we've even seen it right after the visitor center.
And if you go on the website, if you go on Capitol Reef's website, it does say there's a fee gate on Highway 24. So that makes me think if you're coming from Hanksville, maybe there is a fee gate, but it's kind of wild that there's not one coming from Torrey, the other town. So, you know, if you're a ranger at Capitol Reef, we weren't trying anything funny. You know, we have the pass, so, you know, whatever. But at the same time, if you on the website, it says it is a fee to enter the park, unless you have your America the Beautiful Pass or annual pass or whatever, all the different passes they offer. So it's important to keep that in mind. And also, you can bring your dog to certain areas. It has to be the paved trails, just like most national parks. It could be the paved trails like the Fremont River Trail and different areas like that, but not on the unpaved ones like Hickman Natural Bridge or anything like that area. And there is camping. So they do have, the one main campground is there at Fruita. So Fruita has spaces for RV camping. I don't know if they have full RV hookups, but there are a couple of different areas for primitive camping, for tents, things of that nature, and they're just kind of spread out throughout the park. So you want to go online because you do have to reserve those areas, and there's fees involved with that too. So just it's important to keep that.
And that's the lovely area with the around the old settlement. There were also horses right there. I guess they had a little stable or a barn right there, and so you and Chief got to go say hi to the horses. He got to sniff the big dogs while I was buying pie.
He sniffed those from a distance. He was like, I don't know if he's ever seen horses. Well, yeah, he's seen horses before, but he was like, "What are these, man?" His ears went all back, like, I am not. And those horses didn't pay no mind to him.
No.
He was a little bug compared to them. But
he had no interest in them. But right there is also where we saw that herd of deer, and they were just hanging out in the grass, which, as you said, we were walking the trail that's along the river that runs behind Gifford House. But there was a point where the trail had washed out. So you actually had to come up by Gifford House and go around the washed out area. So that is something else in Capitol Reef. They do have flash floods. You have to be very aware of the weather, and just if you're going to be hiking any of the slot canyons specifically, keep an eye on the weather, check in at the visitor center, see if that's a danger.
That's a good point. Those slot canyons, lots of fun if you can squeeze through them, but rain can cause flash floods in those areas, and it never a good thing if you're caught in a flash flood in a slot canyon, right? Lots of sticky situations to get yourself out of, right? But along with the camping, again, you want to keep that in mind. Otherwise, you're looking outside the park in these smaller areas like Torrey, like Hanksville. We were down the street at Uvlan Escalante, outside the town of Escalante, for any small hotels and lodges and things of that nature, which it's always good for. I mean, I'd love to shout out our friends at Uvlan Escalante because they consider themselves boutique hotels. And it's like, to me, it's like elevated camping.
Yeah.
They have all these like old Airstream set up, and they have a drive-in movie theater and, all of these cool little features.
Really neat place to stay.
And I think it's a happy compromise for people like us, because I'll do the primitive camping, I do the backpacking and everything else, but you are not so much about that.
No, I'm not sleeping on the ground.
So this is like a happy compromise, because it's a really nice area and really nice accommodations. And, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and as we said, we were kind of between Bryce Canyon and Capitol Reef. We got to go on this beautiful scenic drive from Escalante over to Capitol Reef. There were several times we stopped and just got out to take pictures because it was so pretty driving through the mountains over there. And then you get, as we said, to the park, and it's like totally different scenery. It's suddenly just the world shifts around you. And it takes you kind of a minute to like wrap your head around. You were just up in the mountains and the trees, and now you're in this red, I don't know. It's just different. That's one of the things I would say again, like if you haven't been there, it's really hard to imagine what this park looks like.
Yeah, no, I think if Mars has a national park, it's going to look a lot like this,
Okay. Yeah.
White bands with like red sandstone and things. Another thing to kind of keep in mind is like provisions inside the park. The Gifford house we mentioned, they had some pies and cinnamon rolls
Sweets
and different
and
things like that to buy. But outside of that, and they are only open seasonally, outside of that, there's nowhere else to really get food inside the park. So again, those little towns, Hanksville, Torrey, which is home to the Subway sandwich shop that provided the most onions on a sandwich I have ever eaten in my entire life. When you tell them a little bit of onion, God bless them.
But that sandwich, we were so hungry because we had made the long drive into the park and we drove around, and then we thought, oh, well, surely there's going to be somewhere to grab a snack or something. No. Yeah. So we drove back out of the park, and the first thing you come to in Torrey seems like is the Subway, thankfully.
It's Subway, yeah. I
bet they get a lot of business.
It was the tastiest onion sandwich.
It was very crumbly, the bread. We had crumbs all over us.
Yeah. The bread was very flaky. The onions were very oniony. It was a beautiful mix of both of them. One last thing to consider is that it is a designated dark sky park. So stargazing after the sun sets, people come out of this park with some gorgeous shots of the solar system, of the Milky Way, and thousands of stars. I mean, all you have to do is go to the park's like Instagram, kind of follow that path, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And they even feature a few on their actual website that is just, it's mind blowing just how beautiful it gets out at night out there.
Yeah. I know, I feel like we talk about dark sky parks a lot, but if you've never been there, you just can't picture what these parks look like, what the skies look like, right? It's just because you probably grew up in a city with a lot of lights, so you don't see this many stars.
Oh, you city folk. You don't know what them balls of gas and fire are in the sky. Probably scares you a little bit, doesn't it? Yeah, we'll remedy that. Keep it right here on Unscaled Travel Show.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. Jeremy Long here with my co-explorer, Amy.
Hello.
We're in Las Vegas, Nevada in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. Thank you so much always to our friends over at Diamondback Land Surveying for sponsoring the show, Trent and Lisa Keenan. Pillars of our Las Vegas community, certainly pillars of this show. The Capitol Reef National Park. You know, I asked at the beginning of the show why Capitol Reef oftentimes goes overlooked, but when people visit it, the park becomes a fan favorite. And so I'll ask you, you know, just looking at this, I mean, this was one of those parks that before this trip, and us looking at it with certainty, we're going to go here and do this thing. We never really talked about it. It wasn't something like we had discussed Zion. We had discussed different national parks over the years. But Capitol Reef, again, it kind of escapes your thought, I guess, you know, your imagination of what national parks are or whatever. You go there, you kind of experience it. Yeah, we didn't spend 2 or 3 days inside of it, but like we did enough to get an idea of what the park is and to really kind of go that way. How did you feel different going into the park than when we left the park and the pictures and the trails and everything else that we did?
I think, as you said, this park, it gets overlooked almost in like if I have to pick one of the Mighty Five, this isn't the most impressive one. So I'm not going to make my way there.
Sure.
But as we started the show saying, it does feel a little bit calmer and slower, and you're able to, I think, really enjoy being in it. It was a totally different change of pace than what it was like when we went to Bryce Canyon the following day. It did feel more, I would say, almost like if I was going to go camping somewhere, I would go to Capitol Reef. Like if we were going to go camp at a national park, it would probably, the ones in Utah, it would be Capitol Reef, I think.
Right.
Because it did feel a little more relaxing and enjoyable. The other Bryce Canyon, what we saw, a lot of scenic viewpoints, a lot of hiking trails from, you know, easy to strenuous, but it wasn't a place like for me that I would go and hang out.
Yeah. So it has a more calming vibe. It is more relaxing, like you said. I echo that. You know, and I've mentioned now a couple of times, I think it suffers from just the current landscape of like society, social media, things like that. It doesn't have these dramatic things. And when I also say you stitch together other national parks and you kind of create this one as far as landscapes and fields and things of this nature, that's almost a minus too. Because it does have arches and it does have natural bridges. Well, you know who has like really stunning arches? Arches National Park. You know who has like really like Instagram worthy climbs and dramatic, you know, backdrops and everything? Well, like Bryce Canyon and Zion. You know who has this greenery down and everything? You know, like Mesa Verde and other, you know, or the plateaus and the Mars field and everything. Canyonlands. It almost is a
mix of all of them.
It's almost a detriment of its own success.
Well,
it does a lot of things good, but nothing really standoutish and great and like can't miss. This is a bucket list thing that you have to go do.
Well, you even said when we were there, we were walking one of the easier trails, and you said, "This reminds me of a trail I did in Zion." And looking around, and I took a picture, and you were like, I feel like I have this picture already, because you have been to all these other parks. I haven't been to a lot of the other parks. So I was like, oh, this is lovely. But I think that, as you said, is a little bit of a detriment to it. It's lovely. It's not stunning. It isn't like, wow, I need to stand here and just take this in. Like, I never felt that, but I did feel like if I wanted to kind of go hang out for a weekend and camp and maybe hike, this would be a good park to do that.
You know, and this may confuse a few listeners, because I am not saying don't go visit this park. Even though it sounds like I'm totally like dragging it or something like that. I don't like travel where you can't be honest
Right.
about your experiences. We had a great time. It is a beautiful park. We had some really great experiences, seeing the deer and all of this stuff. But is it something where I'm just going to be like, hey, if you have to pick of the mighty five, you should do Capitol Reef above all the rest of them just because it's the latest episode we're talking about? No. I'm not going to do that. I am going to point out the good, the good things that you should hit. And I think we did and the first time stuff. But I'm also, with the show, we want to be honest with people and be like, okay, if you're here, do this. If you're in the area, do this. Especially if you're trying to hit, they do have a circuit now, the Mighty Five circuit, and people try to do them all in a certain amount of time or something like that. Absolutely. There's no wrong way to do these kind of things. But if you're just trying to compare apples to apples, like you want this amazing climb that's once in a lifetime and everything else, you're probably not going to find it at Capitol Reef.
Yeah.
It's probably somewhere else, but that's not to say you're not going to have a good time and have some great climbs and stuff like that.
Well,
inside this park.
I have a thing. Every time we go to a new national park, I always ask you, what makes this park unique? Like, what makes it special? And we've gone to some parks and I have been very pleasantly surprised, like Mesa Verde. I had no idea about the cave structures there. This one, I think it does have a unique aspect, and that being the town of Fruita and how there are all these orchards weaved in and out of these giant rock formations and trails and hikes. But is that enough to draw somebody to this park?
I think you can, once you start really being honest about your experiences and honest about the choices you have to make, you can see why maybe a park that's right in the middle of everything tends to be at the lower end of the annual visitors. And again, like, you don't have to be an elite hiker to do these hikes, even though they do have strenuous hikes. There's no like ultra challenging hike that people are like, oh man, this is like something for those people who love those ultra challenging hikes. There's no trail in here that stands out like, oh man, this is that one that's going to test your endurance. The other is like, the technical gear, even though they have canyoneering and bouldering and rock climbing inside Capitol Reef, there's none of that in there that's like, oh man, this is the one you got to experience at least once in your lifetime, like so many other parks. And it's kind of those moments. It's like a good, if you live in Utah or you live around Utah and you're just starting like your national park journey, it's a good starter park.
It is. That's a good way to put it.
I think that's probably the best way to put it, which other people probably roll in their eyes, but like it's a good, solid starter park for people.
Well, and I noticed too, there were several viewpoints or scenic overlooks that we went to, or that are identified on the map, and we stopped at several of them, and it's like, okay, I mean, yeah, this is scenic, but it wasn't that grand scenic view like you see other places. So I think it's just tempering your expectations too.
Yeah.
Because this park does have things to offer, but if you're looking for this amazing national park experience, I don't know that you're going to get it at this park.
And I'm not picking on Capitol Reef because there's other parks I would put in there too, especially if you've been to the Yosemites, if you've been to the Yellowstones, if you've been to Glacier National, all of those, and then you go to say Congaree in South Carolina. It's the least visited national park in the United States, which is crazy because there are some national parks in like Alaska that you can only get through from a bush plane.
Right.
So like, how is it? Anyway, but like when you compare them, and it may not be, I get that comparison is the thief of joy and stuff like that. But like when you start looking around at these parks going, what one is worth it? What one is worth it later? What one can I put on the back burner and get to later? This might, for some people, fall into that latter category.
Yeah.
It might fall into that other category of like, this is nice, but let me hit Zion first. Let me hit Arches first.
It's not a tier 1 park.
Yeah. And you can start understanding why. Like, it's a perfectly lovely time.
Yeah.
She's got a great personality.
I think it's a nice park.
It is.
Nice
It's a
is
nice
a good
guy
word.
park.
It's a nice park.
It's friend-zoned park.
We're sorry, Capitol Reef.
Unscaled Travel.
And Congaree.
We'll see you next time.